Towards the end of 1922, and in the middle of a divisive and nasty civil war, a plan was hatched that might have had an incredible effect on the outcome of the Irish state. The basis of that plan came from within a small group of well-armed men, causing havoc to the new Irish army in and around North Kildare. Led by Leixlip school teacher Paddy Mullaney, and made up of many men from the surrounding area along the River Liffey, they became known as the Leixlip Flying Column.
He gathers together men who were willing to carry out attacks in Kildare, in the Kildare-Dublin border area around Lucan and Leixlip.
But his idea was that he was going to try and isolate Dublin by attacks on rail and road in the area.
He seems to have been pretty competent. Yeah, I mean, as long as he obeyed the guerrillas' kind of golden rule, which is that, you know, you strike unexpectedly and then you get out of there before reinforcements arrive, his unit did very well.
Well, they were operating, destroying railway cabins, blowing up signal cabins and that, and tearing up railway tracks and stuff like that.
They do pretty well. I mean, they're a pain, if you like, to the Free State government for 6 months in Kildare.
The group, building on their success, then hatched an audacious plan.
Jim Dunn was very active volunteer from Kill in the War of Independence and especially in the Civil War. Both him and Mullaney, their idea was that they would capture Baldonnel Airdrome with reinforcements from Dublin, from Todd Andrews and other commanders in Dublin, supplying the bulk of the men. They would capture Baldonnel. They had 2 experienced volunteers who could fly airplanes. The idea was then they would fly an airplane and literally bomb Leinster House, and it's physically flying over and dropping a bomb on the house itself and hopefully killing whoever's in it.
Any plane would have been absolutely unopposed flying over Leinster House, and had they managed to get a plane and get up in the air, their chance of success could easily have changed the outcome of the Civil War and the shape of the Republic as we know it.
So let's say the Dáil was in session when they bombed it. Let's say they killed Richard Mulcahy, W.T. Cosgrave and Kevin O'Higgins, so the 3 most important men in the Free State cabinet. Yeah, the country would have been left in a very vulnerable state. It would have been without a government. I mean, there weren't any more men of their stature. You know, it wouldn't have resulted in a Republican seizure of power. It probably would have resulted in a seizure of power by the Free State military. I mean, 1922 was the year Mussolini marched on Rome. Most countries really experienced either attempted or real military coups around this time. So yeah, I mean, we think these things couldn't have happened here, but of course they could. They certainly could. And I mean, the Baldonnel thing, I think, was a stunt. It was a big operation, a big spectacular operation to show that they could do it.
Oh no, I think they were genuinely thought that this would help end the war or win the war for them.
Paddy's plans seem to have been based on having superior numbers by combining his forces with the Dublin Brigade under Todd Andrews, combining with 30 or so men on the inside of the base that they thought would come over to the anti-treaty side when attacked. All was arranged in November of 1922, and the flying column assembled in Selbridge and waited on the expected 100 or so from Dublin to turn up before the assault could start. But on the night, Todd Andrews from Dublin turned up with only 20 men.
There wouldn't have been enough men to commandeer Baldonnel and spirit away all the weapons they were supposedly going to capture. So, as they would say, they blame Dublin for not turning out.
In Dublin, there had, in and around the same time, been quite a big fiasco where the Dublin Brigade was mobilised en masse to destroy all the bridges and roads going into Dublin. And they didn't destroy a single bridge, but over 150 of them were captured on a single night. So I think, you know, had they gone ahead with the Baldonnel thing, it could have been a massive coup. So they could have bombed Leinster House and stuff, but it could have also been a fiasco.
Both Dunn and Mullaney blame Todd Andrews for not turning up on several occasions with enough men to make the plan work, and eventually Jim Dunn calls off the plan after 2 attempts to try and get it moving.
Andrews was extremely sceptical of the plan. Andrews said he met the pilot who was claimed he had been a French pilot in World War I, claimed he'd won the Croix de Guerre, the Cross of War at Verdun. And Andrew, he was known as the Deacon because apparently he was involved in the church. But Andrews was convinced he had no idea how to fly a plane. Andrews didn't believe his story at all.
The flying column itself would not have long to survive after this, as they were involved in a disastrous shootout on Pike's Bridge in December, and ended up being captured, and that finished their successful campaign. 5 deserters from Baldonnel who had subsequently joined the column were also captured at the same time, and they were executed. But the rest of the 22 men did survive their capture and the Civil War.
They were quite lucky that some of them weren't shot out of hand, and some of the volunteers that are in the Milani column were again experienced volunteers that I'm sure the National Army are delighted to have captured them.
And so ends the story of an amazing plan that may or may not have had a momentous effect on the outcome of the Irish Republic. A plan that was hatched and executed by people living along the banks of the River Liffey 100 years ago.